Hello everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today is another LEGO Top 10 Mocks of the Week episode where I show you guys the coolest custom creations I happen to see people building in LEGO throughout this last week. If you've been paying attention, you'll know that this week is actually the last 2 weeks because I missed the previous episode, but that's because we have been very busy working on some really cool models for instructions in the web store. So speaking of which, before I jump in, first I do want to say that a couple of new models from Rob Van Leeuwen have come out, the Imperial Troop Transport and Trexler Marauder. Both of these models have some amazing interiors. They're extremely sturdy, and I think personally they go really well with a Stormtrooper army. But if you did want to build up a micro army from Fukusaku, the LEGO Clone Wars Ground Forces micro builds are now available. So instructions for this entire bundle of the MTT, AAT, Snail Tank, Hailfire Droid, Tri-Droid, and Homing Spider Droid can all be built out to flesh out a larger scale micro Star Wars diorama, if that's what you wanted to do. Getting instructions is a great way to help support the channel. Now let's jump into some honorable mentions of the week. Funny Stuff's Attack on Titan build actually has a nice charm to it. I especially like the build for the face. Jens Orndorff titled this Nostalgic Desk Work. The title of this character is Formoka 2 from Matt Goldberg. Really like the build for the eyes. It's great to see a 6-stud wide car with the ability to cover the wheels still inside the body using tile pieces. One Isaac W is the builder of this 1957 Nash Metropolitan. Little John has been very creative with many different elements. This is titled An Element of Discovery. Check out Moko's Flickr if you want to see what the cube version of Robot Mario looks like. Here's an awesome looking Mars rover from Cole Black. There are so many great rover builds still because we're coming straight off the heels of February. X Sandbox Lakeside House 2.0 has some amazing external and internal details. Apparently this is a real character from a real Danish kids TV show. I don't know much more than that. From Ochre Jelly, this is John Dillermand in LEGO. Tyler's Space School Bus has some awesome colors. Jonathan Elliott's DeLorean is very elegant. From Big Planes, this is a work in progress pick for another big old plane. Paul's LEGO Doctor Who tribute is especially detailed. Now let's jump into the top 10, which might actually have more than 10 builds. All right, from Jan the Creator, this is an Imperial installment on Air Kit, which shows a landed TIE fighter and some Imperial forces outside of a larger bunker. I like that the bunker has some slanted in walls on either side. There's some great detailing that cuts along the outside, and it's both simple enough and detailed enough to feel a little bit realistic compared to maybe some of the other dioramas I've seen recently. From Lego 7, this is the Jazz Quartet. Now this build wasn't made super recently. Dorothy Williams was, who is built in the same style, and I think this is part of the celebration that this particular model or series of characters was accepted into ideas with 10,000 votes of support, so at least part of the review stage. The build style for these characters is very expressive and entirely unique. You can also see that he's been working on it a bit more with his tribute to youth skateboarding on top of that, and it's just nice to see a builder capturing a completely different take on character design in LEGO bricks. I for one would love to see more and more of these figures as time goes by. Two different builds from Jayfa. This is Waika Konketa. The white eyes in particular really strike me as a bit more frightening or scary looking when you're looking at this character as a whole, but I love the different layered colors that we have going all around the body. But if you want to talk about color, let's check out Jayfa's other build that came out just a few days after, the Cable Clip Chameleon. He really managed to capture the look of a chameleon particularly well in this build. The color combinations are very striking, and I like the piece that he used to make the eye of the chameleon itself, but you can understand why he called it a cable clip chameleon. Number 6 is from Bart De Dobler. This is titled Trace Initiated, and this alien robotic sci-fi entity that is in the middle of this gigantic chamber seems to have detected an intruder of some kind, and you can see with the use of those not LEGO LED strip lights that this being or entity of some kind is trying to find who ended up tripping some type of security measure in the back. It's ominous, it's really creepy. I just love the greebling details and all the inlaid blue and red light that cuts underneath. Here's build number 6 from Norton74. This is the Blue Cottage. This builder in particular loves tiny little details and fleshing out very quaint and very real slice of life dioramas. You can see that this cottage has somewhat offset snow roof, a hobbit door, which is kind of fun, porthole windows, which is very different, and meticulously upturned tile pieces that show bent floorboards or different bits of wood coming off of the front paneling or the roof. Even the stone or concrete flooring for the front deck seems to be coming up in different places. And when you look at this model as a whole, it makes this area really feel like an old, weathered, and lived in area that's been around for a long time. The Thor hammer pieces used as stones for the front deck is also a great touch. I like the few different hidden printed tile pieces for the wood that's been chopped in the corner, but it's really just one of those models that you want to look at for a long time and notice more and more fun little details as you go along. Number 5 is a somewhat micro build from Tino Poutiainen. The title is M.O.D. or M.O.D. He said it was a quick build based on a design from an arcade game, but we have some fun, strange technical details when you look closely here. There is a wrapping that comes around the center of this black rod that kind of sticks out in the middle. I don't know how he managed to get that detail, but it looks great. I like the different offset round modules that are in the center in light bluish gray. They look like different weird little sensors, and from afar it's just a very sleek and spiky technical little sci-fi build. I like the stand. It's just a very clean model from Roger. This is a medieval street mock build that has a wonderfully large atmosphere. There's a pretty distinct build style for the different roofs. There's some ornate wood building here and there, some very simple stone cottages, and even a few buildings here and there that look like they're not even standing up particularly well. When you flip the whole area around, you'll see that most of these buildings have a pretty full interior, very full interior, I should say, and that's what really makes this medieval scene feel so alive. There's characters all around the different cobbled streets. All the walkways and paths that cut through the different types of buildings don't really have a lot of rhyme or reason to them, which makes it feel even more alive and more authentic. Plus, every roof tile and support beam and stone has just a bit of extra detail the closer and closer you look. There's little slightly offset colors with different types of plates. Some bricks are intentionally twisted out of alignment to look like they're just not quite fitting together right, even though the builder can fit a lot of these pieces together, I'm sure, quite tightly and perfectly if he wanted to. But stylistically, for this medieval neighborhood, it's this dirtier, grungier, slightly cruder look that you're going for in order for it to just feel a lot more fun and realistic. Anyways, he's got way more pictures than the ones I've just showed you for this model. Remember, you can check out all the links in the description below if you want to see more of the designers that I'm showing you. Now we've got a fun couple of models from James Zhan, and that's only because he's been doing these orchid models a few times over to try to sort of perfect the look of these flowers. Perhaps inspired by the recent botanical collection, we have some amazing builds for orchids. I really like that they're also inside a pot, quote unquote, that looks like a 2x2 brick. The techniques are subtle but extremely effective. And then he also built some mini orchids in a smaller pot, which also have a very cute little design. Since flower designs have officially been getting made by LEGO, these are some of my favorite new designs that have come from custom builders so far. And now we have an amazing other medieval style build, also on a pretty large scale, similar to the last one, but very, very different stylistically. From Ralph Langar, this is titled A Light in the Dark. Now here we're looking at a model that truly does have some different types of techniques that I simply have not seen anybody do before, and that's a pretty signature style of Ralph. Look at the floor in front of these buildings. That is a bunch of treads, little black tread pieces on their sides, all jumbled up. They're sandwiched between some side-built bricks and maybe even some upturned tiles, and it really gives a very strange kind of texture to the front area around here. The stonework is pretty interesting with those quarter-round tile pieces jumbled around with open studs. You have a few intentionally turned out understuds of 2x2 bricks, some fun diamond shapes in the corner, and lots and lots and lots of plate work. When you pull all the way back, you have these very tall, very narrow looking buildings, all with a pretty dark and drab and almost ominous look. So you not only have a very interesting world with lots of details, but an extremely intentional emotional atmosphere that goes along with this absolutely massive build. All right, and I think we jumped over to the very last one. This is a really fun DC themed model. It is Gotham Museum Heist from Tim Lydy. It looks like Mr. Freeze has frozen the museum. He's there with his henchmen and his ice dinosaur, and it looks like Batman is stuck in the middle of a evil hockey game on the main floor, and Robin is having fun with polar bears, or not so much fun, I should say. The icing details that go along the tops of the columns and the roofs look amazing. There's really a lot of color detail given to the frozen ice effects, and I think that's what absolutely makes it for this model, that and the fact that he LED lit the crud out of this whole area. He even bothered to put some great detailing in the back of the model, which is just a wonderful touch, even though really the main focus is to look at this custom chromed out suit that Mr. Freeze has for himself. It looks really similar to a Lego set that came out not that long ago, but he's chromed out a lot of the pieces and changed some details. And then the fact that the ice just has so many different color depths to it with these different trans blue pieces and maybe even trans purple, that the true fantastical and fantasy comic book elements of this scene really start to come to life. I suppose the ice-themed dinosaur would be a display in the museum and maybe not an actual dinosaur that he has as part of one of his evil monsters that works for him, but either way, the details here are amazing, and this is easily the best DC, or I should say superhero themed Lego build that I have seen for the year 2021 so far, and it's going to be a really tough one to top. Anyways, I believe that's 10 for top 10. I don't know, I kind of lost count after a while. Check out the description below if you want to see links to any of the builders I'm talking about or a whole lot more. If you enjoy our content, you can always like, subscribe, comment, share. Thank you so much for watching and sticking to the end of the video, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.